New ceasefire attempts in Sudan are failing and thousands are wanting to flee the country as essentials are now dwindling. The new ceasefire attempt between Sudanese troops and the paramilitary forces in Khartoum turned out unsuccessful. The heightened concerns over diminishing essentials such as food provisions and medical services is now not just worrying people in the country but around the world as well. Terrified Sudanese are now fleeing Khartoum. They're hauling whatever essentials they can carry while trying to get out of the city especially. The fighting grew intense in the first few hours of the ceasefire. Neither of Sudan's rival generals have promised to provide a guarantee to facilitate the movement of either healthcare workers or even ambulances. Now remember, residents have been running out of essentials as they struggle to leave their homes, scared of the bombardment and the airstrikes on the streets outside. They've been going on for close to a week now. Hospitals too have been damaged. They too have been shelled, forced to close down in most places. Nearly 300 people have been killed so far, but many believe the actual death toll would be much higher. Thick smoke was seen in the skies of Khartoum after the latest ceasefire attempt between the troops and the paramilitary forces failed. It has left people completely worried in a panic-stricken state.
Thick smoke was seen in the skies of Khartoum on Wednesday after the latest ceasefire attempt between Sudanese troops and paramilitary forces failed, leaving people worried about dwindling food supplies and a breakdown in medical services. The 24-hour ceasefire was lobbied for by countries trying to evacuate their citizens. It was to come into effect at 6 p.m. local time, but two eyewitnesses in separate areas of the Sudanese capital told Reuters that fighting had continued. Hundreds of people have been killed since the violence erupted. Thousands have been injured. This doctor at the Sudanese Ministry of Health says that most of the big, specialized hospitals are out of service.
The hospitals now serving the wounded are so few, with a limited number of doctors, so there's overcrowding of the wounded. Besides, not all the injured can arrive to the hospitals under the gunfire. They cannot even arrive to receive medical care. We honestly need public and private hospitals to open up to provide medical services for all the injured and for all patients.
Many of Sudan's best hospitals are concentrated in central Khartoum, where the most intense fighting is taking place. 9 hospitals in Sudan have been hit by artillery and 16 forcibly evacuated since the fighting began, the Sudanese Doctors Union said. The World Health Organization's regional head, Ahmad al-Mandari, said he doubts the health system will survive given the conditions. United Nations spokesman Stéphane Dujarric.
Nearly 1/3 of the population was already in need of humanitarian aid at the start of the year. Now our humanitarian colleagues are warning that people in Sudan are running out of food, they are running out of fuel, and they're running out of other vital supplies.
It's the holy month of Ramadan and Eid is not far away. There are many that are stuck there in Sudan. There is no electricity, there is no water, food is running out. They do not know what life awaits for them. There are many foreign citizens also that are stranded in Sudan. Take a look at some of their testimonies.
With Ramadan, we've reached the point where honestly we don't know which day we are in Ramadan. We usually it's like a feast, you know, when it comes to breaking our fast, it's like a feast and everyone's excited and everyone's ready for the food. But it honestly all tastes bland. We barely eat anymore because I think everyone's stressed and is on anxiety, and so like I said, at times I find myself personally like I'm praying so much because I want this all to end, but then at other times I feel like I don't even know I forget that Ramadan is still upon us. We have been inside for the past 4 days. My brother occasionally would take a walk outside to ensure, for example, the neighbors are okay if they need electricity, because the first day we had electricity, and then we had an outage starting the second day until now. And then today he went out to get some supplies because we were starting to run out of supplies. Basically, it's a shock. No one knew about it, so no one was prepared. The first day, everyone was still taking in the news. No one had time to really get into fight or flight mode and prepare themselves for it. We didn't know how long this was gonna last, and the military is saying, "Oh, we've got this under control. It's just gonna be a day and something kind of situation," and it lasted obviously longer than they've anticipated. At one point, you'll find yourself praying a lot to really be saved and throughout this, and the country to be saved throughout this. And then at one time and other times you're too lost in what's happening around you. Are you going to be okay? Are your friends going to be okay? Your family, your neighbors, even the people you don't really know but you see around in the streets.
I dive with sharks for a living, and for the first time in my life I made a farewell video to my son. There's no way to get out. We're between the Blue Nile, the White Nile, so you can't, even if you can make it through all these checkpoints and through bands of criminals or RSF or anyone that wants to appropriate what you have, if it's not your life as well, then the next case is, where do we go? There's no way out here for the moment. And that's, resources are low, and, there's children, there's mothers. This morning we had a mother, crying uncontrollably, airstrikes at 200 meters. The ground is shaking. It's just horrible. And honestly, there's nothing we can do at this point. For me, just going outside on a daily basis just to start and stop the generator, because like I said, there's no power, no water, is will I make it back? I tell the guys, listen, if something happens to me, just don't open the door, don't come for me.